Hello, just quickly want to thank any of you that have been watching the first two parts of this video series. It's much appreciated, and if anyone's got any comments, just add them below. Questions or advice, anything, or just a wee hello. So it occurred to me after the last video that there's one thing I hadn't tested a hole size for, and that's these posts, which hold the tremolo, hold the bridge in. This says it's 9.8 to 9.9. 9.9. So just very quickly, before we prepare the core, because that's what we're going to do today, is prepare the core. But just like we did the last time, I'm going to make a block, and let's say we'll make this 35 by 18, because we don't want it to take too long to print. And now we will pad that, and the depth of this says 20.5, so we will make our block 25. Then we will take the top surface, create a sketch, add a circle. We'll do one at 10.4 and one at 10.5, and don't worry, we will sort out a way to know which is which in a minute. But first we shall constrain horizontally. Now hopefully Editor Gil can feel less disappointed in himself. I'm not too bad. I had a hobnob and thought about what I'd done. Well, that's good to hear. But I didn't have any milk to dunk it in. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So now we shall constrain them by distance from the top, and that was 18, so we'll make that distance 9. Doesn't really matter what distance they are from the side there. They're pretty fine, as Busted would say about your great 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 granddaughter in the year 3000. That, we'll come back to that. Let's make the pocket 20.6. We have our block, and then I'm going to make a little pocket here, but just a 1mm pocket. Open up the slicer, import our pillar, generic pet G, and that will take half an hour. The sound of pooping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just import the core. These two holes here will be for steel posts. These two holes here will be for steel posts, and 1, 2, 3 holes here will be for heat inserts, a row of 4 on the top surface as well. I think we should start here. So if we select these holes, get our circle tool, that tells us that these are 6.2. Yep, both of them are 6.2. So they would appear to be correct. These holes I don't think will be 4.4. Now that says 4.2. So If we bring it out a bit, tell it 4.4, it seems to have snapped back to 4.2. So I have manually added it instead. So now we go to the next circle. That's 4.2, so I just did that one manually as well, because I'm really not sure why it was snapping to, but as I said, I am a complete noob. So let's try it again. 4.4, 440, Apollo 440. And it has worked this time. So there you go, obviously assisted there by invoking Mary Biker. And now, because some people might be shouting at the screen, this isn't going to work when you try and pocket. And they're correct. Cannot use this command as there is no solid to subtract from. Ensure that the body contains a feature. So, here is the core, and here is the sketch. So if we drag this up to here, and then our pocket is working. And this was 5.6. So now if we create the sketch on this plane, so we have a hole here which we would like a width of 4.4 millimeters, and it is only 4. Okay, so we have a 4.4 mil hole there. Add the next one. That's 4.2, but we want it to be Apollo 440. Pocket. And 5.6. Apollo 440. 5.6. 440. 5.6. So that's all of those pockets done. So we have the heat inserts going up here, posts at the back, heat inserts down the bottom, and more posts down here. Now we just have to check this and these pockets as well. So let us just check the dimension quickly. Taking some external geometry from the sides. You can use the distance tool, or you can attach a line to there, bring it down. That tells me that basically that's 88 mil. We get the calipers on one of the pickups, and I'm getting a distance there of 83. Now for this we're getting 41 mil, and the calipers say 38.2, so we have a little bit of space there too. There are some more spaces on the back for heat inserts. And our block just finished. Just quickly check the external geometry of these. As with everything else, we want them to be 4.4 and 5.6. That's 4.2. Add a circle for each of them. I can just imagine you all right now crowding the family around the TV, Look at him go, ma. Look at him. Someone go, I think he relies on external geometry a bit too much. Your mum relies on external geometry a bit too much. Close the sketch. Pocket 5.6. And there we go. We have all of the holes apart from two. The most important two. So, here we have our test. And it's too loose. We give it too much leeway. So now we're printing a second version of the brick with a 10mm and 10.1mm as the hole sizes. And let's keep our fingers crossed. So here is our second part. Even the 10mm feels slightly tight. So, by a process of elimination, we're going back to the sketch. If we come down here, we see the sketch constraints, 10mm and 10.1. So we are going to change this to 9.8 and 9.9. Then we can close that. Our new pockets are the correct size. Import our new pillar into the slicer, and we are going to rotate it 180 degrees on the x-axis so that the holes are pointing down the way, because that is the way that that piece will actually print. And the depth is perfect. All we have to do is print this for a third and most definitely final time. Apologies for repeating this, but if you know the correct size for all of the holes from the very beginning, then any issues that you have at the end must be down to the printer. So if we know that the bolts and the pegs and these pillars all fit perfectly, and we make the skin, we pick what skin we want, then it really should just be a case of everything's lined up, it gets printed out and it gets put together. Whereas if we had just jumped in and printed all of the pieces without double checking everything, which is kind of what I did with the prototype, then we would have to print it all again. So that's why I decided to make this full tutorial looking at this design, and the design will be available, and I can make it available to work with the build your own Telecaster kit as well. So after 2 false starts, we have our final piece. Let's try the 9.9. So that is going in. I can feel that it's tight. Yeah, I don't want to push that any further in because I'll need help getting it out. So there we go, 9.9 is the size for the last holes we need to bother with. External geometry on these 2 holes. That says that hole is 10.75mm. Create a shape binder. Create a sketch on this face. External geometry. Because what we're going to have to do is fill these holes in, because these are 10.75mm. So we create a pad, which we reverse. 25 will do. We should see those holes disappear. We can create another sketch on this face using the external geometry, and we want these to be 9.9. So we can close that. And we shall just again double check our depth with the calipers. And that's saying 20.9. And the post is saying 20.4. And that fit really snug. So we shall create a pocket of 20.9, and there we can see our nice little pocket. So just rotating around everything, I believe that this is now finished. We will create a new folder. I know there's one there that says final body, but as everyone that works in creative stuff on a computer knows, we now have final body final V1, and we shall simply call this core final V1, export that as an STL, and import our new core final body final V1. As you can see, it is too big for the build plate. So what I am going to do is I am rotating 180 degrees on the x-axis because I want the front of the guitar to be facing down while it prints. I'm rotating on the z-axis. Now let's look at our print settings. So the layer height 0.2mm, infill 100%, and 8 walls. So let's look at quality. The seam position won't matter because we're going to add the fuzzy skin. Let's iron the topmost surface, just for fun. We will want to enable supports. We'll just do the default tree supports, I think. No. We'll do the normal supports. We will add a brim, just to help it stay down longer, because we don't want it to lift off the bed at all, because then it won't look right and it might not work right. Fuzzy skin, put that on contour. Point distance, we're going for 0.2mm, and the fuzzy skin thickness also 0.2mm. Actually, I'm changing my mind again. I'm going for a thickness of 0.1. Apply fuzzy skin to the first layer, and now let us slice the plate. The bits highlighted in green are where it will be placing supports. Doesn't need any through there because of course that just goes right through the body. You can see the brim in the dark blue. That will hopefully help it adhere to the bed, because we do not want a single bit of it lifting. And this says it will take 1114.75 grams of filament. So we have an extra roll loaded in. I have cleaned the build plate with some isopropyl alcohol to make sure there's no grease or fingerprint marks on the bed, because that can cause problems. And now it's just time to start the print. So, yep, we have our 2 generic PETGs and the boxes that they're in on top of the printer. I printed them as well. They have a hydrometer on the front, and that just lets me know that the filament is dry. There are boxes of desiccant at the bottom. That brings the filament down to usually about 10% humidity. Now it's time to cross the fingers and press print on the first absolutely final part of the Poppiescaster. And there it goes. So we'll leave that to do its thing. We'll catch up in hopefully a couple of days and have a look at putting the heat inserts into all of the holes that we've made over the last 2 videos. Back to busted, year 3000. Not much has changed, but we live underwater. Sounds like a huge change. And your great 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 granddaughter is pretty fine. So your great 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 granddaughter. So 5 generations in 1,000 years. So many questions. What were you thinking, Charlie, Matt, and the bass player?